Breaking overnight, police are investigating now the shocking deaths of legendary director Rob Reiner and his wife, Michele. Found dead in their Los Angeles home yesterday, the couple was killed.
From the outside, it looked like a normal Hollywood family, successful parents, a famous last name, a quiet home in Brentwood. But behind closed doors, pressure had been building for years. And one private conversation revealed a danger no one saw coming.
But now, Nick Reiner is claiming that someone is out to get him. That is the latest headline. So let's talk about this. TMZ is reporting that someone close to the 32-year-old says that Reiner knows he killed his parents, Rob and Michele, but doesn't understand why he's in jail. According to TMZ, Reiner believes the people who put him behind bars are engaged in a, quote, conspiracy against him.
Rob and Michele had 3 children, Jake, Nick, and Romy. But there was also Tracy. She was Rob's daughter from his first marriage to Penny Marshall, who was also a famous director. Rob adopted Tracy, and she became part of the family. Tracy has said many times that she never felt like the adopted kid. She never felt different or less loved. Rob and Michele made sure of that. She grew up in a house filled with love, creativity, and support. Her childhood memories were all about feeling safe and protected. They loved us with everything they had, Tracy said after her parents died. You can hear the pain in those words, you can feel what she lost. For Tracy, Rob wasn't just a famous director, he was her dad. The man who showed up when she needed him, not flashy or loud about it, just always there. And Michele was the heart of the family, the one who kept everyone connected, even on the hardest days. Tracy described her family as the greatest family ever. And she meant it. But behind closed doors, the family was dealing with something painful. Something they tried to handle quietly for years. Nick, the middle child born in 1993, had been struggling since he was young. Really young. According to reports, he first went to rehab when he was just 14 years old. 14.
Can't actually be diagnosed with schizophrenia and bipolar, but this, if you have these symptoms that combine the two, it's schizoaffective disorder, and clearly this was missed during his rehabs and any other treatment he had, and there were so many places along the way that this could have been stopped, and I blame it on the mental health system.
That's when most kids are worried about school and friends. Over the next years, Nick went in and out of treatment centers. By 2016, he had been to rehab 18 times. Think about that. 18 times. That's not someone who went once and got better. That's someone fighting a battle that kept pulling him back down. Nick also struggled with homelessness at times. This wasn't a kid who grew up poor. This was someone who had every advantage, every opportunity, but still couldn't escape his demons. Rob and Michele never gave up on him, ever. They kept trying, kept hoping, kept believing their son could get better. In 2016, Rob actually made a movie with Nick called Being Charlie. It was about addiction and recovery. Nick said publicly that making the film was part of his healing process. For a moment, it seemed like maybe things were getting better, but they weren't. Police were called to the Reiner home many times over the years because of incidents involving Nick. The family was living with constant worry, constant fear, always wondering if this time would be different. At the time of his parents' deaths, Nick was 32 years old and living with them.
Mary, I want you to take a look at something that could become somewhat of maybe a little problem that the defense will have to deal with. Something that Nick Reiner said in the past when he went on the Dopey podcast. Here's the clip.
How'd you get Wellbutrin? Did it cop it on the street? The way I got Wellbutrin is actually really fun. I was at a Lena Lodge, and I don't know if I told this last week, but they refused to give me meds. So to prove I was crazy, because they were like, you don't need any meds. Yeah, and I was like freaking out. And I was like, you don't think I need meds? And they're like, yeah, we think you're just all up to an act here, and this is all just fake. And I said, okay.
This is where Tracy's story becomes even more heartbreaking. In early December 2025, just about a week before everything happened, Tracy had a conversation with Nick that she can't forget. According to her interview with ABC News, Nick reached out to her. He said he needed to see her urgently, he wanted to talk privately. They met at the guest house behind their parents' home in Brentwood. Nick was staying there at the time. It was evening, after a family meal, just the two of them in that small room. Tracy said Nick didn't ease into the conversation. He got straight to the point. He needed money. A lot of money, not the kind you can come up with in a few days. He didn't say exactly how much, but Tracy understood it was serious. When Tracy asked what was going on, Nick started talking about his debts, how they'd been piling up for a long time, how he'd tried to handle it himself but couldn't, how he'd asked other people for help but everyone had refused. Tracy noticed something unsettling. Nick couldn't sit still. He kept changing positions, standing up, walking to the window, sitting back down. His hands kept clenching and unclenching. He couldn't look at anything for more than a few seconds. Then the conversation shifted. Nick started talking about their parents differently. His tone changed. It became cold. Like he was talking about people who had too much control for too long. He said he'd waited long enough. Those things should have been resolved already, that his patience was running out. Tracy felt something shift in that room. A feeling in her gut that something was very wrong.
Learned. And you can take this to the bank, is that pursuant to the laws of this state, pursuant to the law in California, Nick Reiner is not guilty of murder. Print that. Print.
Then, Nick stood up suddenly. His voice got quieter. He moved closer to Tracy, and in that moment, Tracy's instincts screamed at her to leave. Her phone rang. She answered it immediately, made an excuse about an urgent matter, and walked out. She didn't look back. She didn't say goodbye. She just left. Tracy said her hands were shaking as she walked to her car. That feeling of unease stayed with her for days. She thought about telling her parents everything.
He's obviously suffers from this disease. This has been going on for years. He's been treated for years. There's been documentation that he's been treated by doctors for this, and he's been in rehab. So, this is just one little blip on an otherwise, a person that suffers from a serious disease, a significant disease. As the doctor just said, this is not, I'm a little paranoid.
Right. This is a big deal. Mario, appreciate that. Dr. Carroll, appreciate all the insights you shared. We'll leave it here for now. We'll, of course, report any more updates we get on this big case that we know has rocked Hollywood and people all over the world that loved.
But Christmas was coming. The family was already stressed. She convinced herself she might be overreacting. She didn't tell them, and that choice haunts her now. On December 13th, the night before everything changed, Rob, Michele, and Nick went to Conan O'Brien's annual Christmas party in Los Angeles. People at the party noticed something was off with Nick right away. He stood alone for long stretches. He seemed disconnected from the celebration happening around him. He kept asking people the same question over and over, "Are you famous?" His eyes were tense. He couldn't focus. Then, at some point during the party, Nick and Rob got into an argument. A loud one. Multiple people saw it. They said the atmosphere became heavy and uncomfortable. Nobody knew what they were arguing about, but everyone could tell it was serious. After the argument, Rob and Michele left the party and went home. That was the last time anyone saw them alive. The next afternoon, Romy became worried. Her parents weren't answering their security buzzer for a scheduled visitor. That wasn't like them. Romy lived across the street with her roommate. She decided to go check on them. What happened next is every child's worst nightmare. At 3:38 p.m., a 911 call came in. Romy's roommate made the call after Romy ran out of the house in complete panic. Police and paramedics arrived within minutes.
To take into custody Nick Reiner, a suspect in this case. He was subsequently booked for murder.
Breaking news at 5. LAPD releasing new pictures of Nick Reiner being arrested in the double homicide of his parents, legendary Hollywood director Rob Reiner and Michele Reiner. The 32-year-old is now being held on no bail.
They found Rob and Michele in their bedroom. Both had been stabbed multiple times. According to the medical examiner, they died within minutes of the attack. It was December 14th, the first night of Hanukkah. A time that should have been about family and celebration.
The entertainment world shocked by this tragic violence, a chilling argument at a celebrity holiday party, possibly at the center of it all. Fox 11's Christina Gonzalez joins us now live from Brentwood with the latest on this death investigation.
When Tracy heard the news, she said her mind went completely blank. Then the memories started flooding back. The conversation with Nick in early December. The way he talked about their parents. The coldness in his voice. The way he couldn't sit still. The moment she felt unsafe and had to leave, all of it suddenly made sense in the worst possible way. When I heard the news, my mind went completely blank, Tracy told reporters. Then, fragments of memory started coming back. For Tracy, this wasn't just losing her parents. This was the devastating realization that she had seen warning signs and hadn't acted on them. She carries that guilt now.
Mario, so tell me, working with that as a defense attorney with schizoaffective disorder, has been reported as his diagnosis. Is this something that you see as a viable defense, Mario, as a criminal defense attorney for Nick Reiner?
That question, what if I had said something? Nick wasn't at the house when the police arrived. Later that day, security cameras caught him at a gas station near the University of Southern California, about 15 kilometers from his parents' home. Tracy said when she saw that footage on the news, she didn't recognize her brother. He looked different. He was moving erratically, constantly looking around like he thought someone was watching him.
Well, we're right outside the front gate over here. We are told the LAPD investigators are supposed to come by and serve search warrants. They have not done so as of this point. What we do have, and if we can show these to you, we just got some of the images of the arrest of Nick Reiner. That's the U.S. Marshals. And supposedly this is the arrest,
At 9:15 p.m. that same night, police found Nick in the Exposition Park neighborhood and arrested him. Tracy said she didn't feel relieved when they caught him, she just felt heavier pain. Because now the truth was undeniable, her brother had killed her parents. 3 days later, on December 17th, Nick appeared in court for the first time. The Los Angeles County District Attorney charged him with 2 counts of first-degree murder with special circumstances. The special circumstances were multiple murders and the use of a knife.
The location looks like the station over at Vermont, the metro station at Vermont, and it looks like they're taking him down. Those pictures were actually posted, and LAPD thanking the U.S. Marshal for their help with the arrest, which I'm told went without incident. He was booked under suspicions of the death of his parents, and initially bail was $4 million. Now
he could face the death penalty, though prosecutors haven't decided yet whether they'll seek it. If this story touched you, please take a moment to leave a comment below sharing your thoughts. If you found this video informative and want to stay updated on similar stories, please hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss our future videos.